Chairman Jones, who could not be here. And of course, my good friend says it's time to do it. So let's call this meeting of the Regional Transportation Commission to order.
Thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioners. Your first item is to conduct your first citizens participation period.
Thank you very much, MJ. This is the first time set aside for public comment. This time is limited to comments on items included on the agenda. Those wishing to speak on a posted agenda item, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone to provide your comments and state your name for the record. You will be limited to 3 minutes for your comments. And it looks like I already have someone. Please.
Hi guys, Dennis Hennessy. You guys know me, I'm just a driver. I'm coming today. I've got details in the second half of public comment, but I want to speak a little bit about what's going on. Did I not, and have we not been telling you for 6 months that MV was going to do what they did, what they're going to do? Did I not tell each one? Mr. Sigerbloom, I know you're really active and really outspoken and want to make, I can remember when Transdev first took over. The definition of insanity is that you keep doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for different results. For 2 years, we've had a problem. Just look at liquidated damages for Transdev over the last 2 years. Like I've said for 6 months, MV was going to do what they did, and they're going to continue doing what they did. The fact that you guys won't step up publicly and say, guess what? They're not going to be involved in any more RFPs. I know legally you can't do that, but MV needs to get the message. They're done in this town. They're done with the RTC. Because they're leaving you at a lurch. But again, the definition of insanity, you got a company that's paying $1 million a month in liquidated damages because they can't run fixed route, and we're going to have them take over paratransit? Definition of insanity.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. My name is Minjia Yan, M-I-N-J-I-A-Y-A-N, and I'm here to represent the Urban Land Institute, which is a 501c3 nonprofit that focuses on real estate development and land use issues. And we are here to support agenda item number 32 regarding the Southern Nevada Strong underutilized lands inventory study and urge policymakers to develop strategies and public-private partnerships that encourage infill development and redevelopment opportunities. As Southern Nevada continues to grow, we face increasing pressure for housing, transit, and sustainable growth, and we must look at the different strategies from a comprehensive approach that address our community needs. And this RTC's land inventory study is one of the strategies, and it represents a forward-thinking approach to sustainable urban planning, addressing the critical need to optimize efficient land use while maximizing existing infrastructure and transportation networks within our urban core to support the region's future smart growth and development goals. And having a regional land inventory study will allow developers to better identify vacant and underutilized parcels within existing neighborhoods for new uses such as housing, commercial, and mixed-use developments to create more livable and connected communities and attract investments in areas that need revitalization. And this study is also essential for making informed decisions about infrastructure investment, public transportation needs, economic development priorities, and community amenities. And this study sets the foundation to establish future policies and the next step. And we look forward to seeing RTC continuing engaging stakeholders and policymakers to identify barriers to infill projects, streamline zoning codes and entitlement processes, and allocate the resources necessary to implement the applications effectively. So we're excited to see the positive impact this study will have on our region, and thank you so much for your leadership for this important initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yan.
Good morning, members of the board, MJ, RTC staff. My name is Tony Mercado, and I'm here on behalf of MV Transportation. For the last 5 years, we have worked collaboratively with RTC on many challenges, including global pandemic, record wage inflation, and hiring challenges that followed. Throughout that time, we drove continuous improvement. Today, for example, we are achieving the highest on-time performance metrics RTC has seen in many years with record employee and passenger satisfaction. That is why it's unfortunate that MV and RTC were unable to agree on contract extension. This was not MV's intent. But with all due respect to RTC staff, we would not be here if we had been provided notice as required under the contract. And it put our MVs back against the wall on many open items that we felt were left in limbo during the last year of the contract. Rather than engaging in productive discussions in these areas, RTC staff never engaged and never provided a counteroffer. In fact, more than 3 weeks after we were notified them, they came to us on Tuesday before Thanksgiving and demanded an immediate agreement on a 1-month extension, again with no proposed terms. Despite this approach, we ultimately indicated we would provide that 1-month extension, and then they abruptly terminated the negotiations. The result of this bizarre approach is that RTC is now paying many millions of dollars more, potentially 10 more, under the emergency contract RTC would have spent if they simply negotiated in good faith with MV, all that wasted funding just for a few months. As we wrap up our time here with RTC, I want to leave you with a few key thoughts. We believe there is much more you need to know about how this matter was handled, more than should be shared in an open forum. We'll be providing written documentation on these items in due course. Second, as our focus on continual improvement and results of high-quality paratransit serves for the good of the people of the region, as we have for many years, we want to deeply thank our wonderful employees, including our partners with the Teamsters, for their outstanding work. Their unwavering dedication and hard work has been an inspiring testament of the culture service we sought to build here. Despite how this was handled, we are committed to a seamless transition and upholding the same highest standards of safety and professionalism as we have been exemplifying. We ask all the parties to maintain the same standards in service of the passengers for the most important stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name is David Armour. I'm here on behalf of the Sierra Club, and I would like to speak about the underutilized land. We really need to start developing that land rather than continuing our damaging urban sprawl. The 82,000 acres that are already available here could allow us to easily build enough homes for 500,000 people. If we are somehow able to also increase our density, our building height limits are limited to like 60 feet, which is very low. If we could increase it to the same as like Paris, which is about 7 stories, we could build enough housing for millions of people. So I hope we're able to better utilize that land first rather than continuing out into the desert. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good morning.
I don't have a card
I'm
for you.
Edna Morgan.
Yeah,
and
thank you
I
very
want
much.
to-
Just be sure to fill out a card and hand it over when you're done. You get a chance. You don't have to do it right now. You can do it later. You can present now. Ma'am, you can speak now. You can speak now. Just for the record, we just need to have you fill out a card. That's for anybody else. Remember, this is your time. Feel free to come up and speak. Just make sure that we get a card. Thank you so very much.
I'm sorry. I'm Edna Morgan, and I live at 3383 Mendocino Forest, 89122. And my problem is I'm riding an RTC for handicap, and my place is too far away from the bus stop. And I was not being picked up at my address while others are being picked up inside their gate. I'm in gated area also at Posada Las Rosa. It is in Sunridge subdivision. And I was driving 2 years ago, but I had an accident, so I lost my car, and I cannot pay my insurance anymore, and that's why I asked for RTC help. And one time they picked me up, and I was still approaching the bus stop, and I was on my way to my doctor's appointment, and when suddenly the driver was outside the bus and looking at me, and I said, "Come back here, I need help, and I have knee replacement, and I cannot walk fast." And so he went back to the truck, and he drove away. He left me, and I cried, and I don't know how I can get to my doctor's appointment. And I keep on asking the bus drivers that were passing by to tell the driver to pick me up, but he did not come back. And there was a lady driving her truck and went back when he reached already the Tim Street and Desert Inn, and came back to me, and I said, "Do you need a ride?" Of course, I said, I need a drive, to drive to my doctor's appointment. And she gave me. That's when after I prayed to my God, an angel, to pick me up. And he brought me to my doctor's appointment. And I called RTC to report the matter. I don't have any report out of that. And now, it's more than a year now that I'm sacrificing myself to walk like more than 2 yards away from my address to the bus stop. Miss Chiara from the Office of Commissioner went to my address, knocked in my house, and showed her where I live. I mean, he saw my address, and I said, I don't know where to drive, to be picked up. And he put after a while, I saw the bus sign 7 posts away from the entrance of the Sunridge subdivision. And I have to walk, whether it is summer or winter. And one time I was blown away by the wind, 45 miles per hour. I was standing on that post, and I opened up my window, and I was blown away to the rocks.
Okay.
And I need your help, sir, to pick me up in my house with whatever come out of this. I am willing to.
Okay, normally, this is not an action item that we take, that we can take an action on, but I can refer this, of course, to our RTC staff, and they will follow up with you. Thank you so very much. Please.
Morning. I'll fill out a form for you. William Lynn, ATU, Local 1637 President. Obviously, I just listened to this man talk about us having to spend more money because we didn't keep him. Currently, our drivers are owed $1.4 million by MV. They didn't give a shit about our people. Excuse my French.
Thank you.
Okay? I don't care nothing about them. They shouldn't be in this city. I'm glad they're leaving. I hope TransDev does a better job. We'll see what they do, right? But anybody would be better than them ever in this city again. They've robbed 1,200. We'll see what they do when they leave now. Obviously, this lady here, I hope that TransDev and the RTC can see about taking care of some issues with that, because that is insane for her not to be able to be picked up. I'll save the rest of my comments for later, but for us to continuously allow them to even still be on the bid for paratransit, fixed route, I want to give us, if it's just walking down the street, they shouldn't be allowed in Las Vegas after what they've done at all, period. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any more comments by the public? Okay, well, Ms. Retcher, let's move on.
Thanks, Vice Chair. The next item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. It is in order and ready for your approval.
Okay, any comments or questions on the board? If not, I have a motion. Let's have a vote. Motion passes.
Thank you. The next item is to receive your CEO report. And our first item is very bittersweet for RTC staff. We are here today to say goodbye and farewell, and we wish you were not departing. You've been amazing to work for. I've been very honored to work for you, Councilman. So we want to, again, you've been on our board since February of 2023. During your tenure, Councilman has provided thoughtful input and leadership on behalf of Henderson residents, and with his business background, no one's been more excited about our budget meetings than Councilman Shaw. He served again on our finance committee, but you've provided great input to us along the way, always ensuring that we are being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So on behalf of the RTC and the community, Thank you so much for not only your dedication to Henderson, your dedication to the state of Nevada, here in Southern Nevada, but also to all of us here at the RTC. You will be dearly missed.
Thank you so
And
very
I
much.
think we have, do we have, yes, we have something for you. Yeah, go ahead. Councilman Shaw is getting his own Crystal Bus Award. Again, just a pleasure to work with. So now I have the pleasure of introducing Tony Sanchez. He's NV Energy's Executive Vice President of Business Development and External Relations. He's here today to present us with a check from NV Energy's Economic Recovery Transportation Electrification Plan. Please come to the pony. There you are, Tony. Tony has a few words and a big check.
Welcome, Councilor. Good morning.
Good morning, Vice Chairman, Councilman. Tony Sanchez, for the record, Executive Vice President, NV Energy. And I'm joined here with my colleague, Adam Grant, who has our check presentation for you. We're just real pleased to partner with the Regional Transportation Commission on an endeavor that began in 2021, partially which Mayor Hardy, you voted unanimously for a Senate bill back in 2021 to invest in vehicle electrification. And so we're here to celebrate the past year's success of this program and the partnership with the RTC, with MJ Maynard, with Angelo, with David. Appreciate that partnership. 100,000 riders got to ride on 4 electric buses, 2 major electric charging infrastructure were able to be put in with these dollars, and leading to over 100 tons of carbon eliminated from the community. And so that's a heck of a partnership. My colleagues specifically asked me to read this one line into what the partnership was, and it said, "Partnering with all of you was like finding the perfect dance partner, effortlessly in sync and a joy to work with every step of the way." Wow, I don't know if I could, I've got some very creative colleagues at NV Energy, but appreciate working with just everybody from the city of Mesquite, Boulder City, Clark County, North Las Vegas, City of Las Vegas, and Henderson. And thank you, each of you. And with that, we'll present you with a large check.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's what I kind of feel the floor coming on here.
Tony, we're going to cash that right away, so.
You may want to tell the audience how much the check is.
Oh, yes.
By the way, it's not just a big
Yes. By the way, for those of you that didn't see the numbers on the check, it's $1,775,273. Thank you so much, NV Energy. Okay, now on to really some of our favorite part of the CA report, and we get to recognize really great people. So first, we'd like to acknowledge Intercon Security Officer Kwame Jones. And I have to tell you, I can't say enough about this individual. I have a chance to interact with him quite frequently. So to present this special item, we have a video from Tom Atterbury, who's the Director of Safety and Security Operations.
Thank you, MJ. This month, we are honoring Intercon Security Officer Kwame Jones. Officer Jones is a dedicated and calm presence, always going above and beyond to assist customers and staff In fact, RTC staff and partners nominated him for this award because of his demeanor in helping diffuse tense situations and turn potential conflicts into positive interactions. Let's hear more from RTC staff now.
Kwame is the perfect balance of compassion and care and yet a professional in security.
I'm here to tell you what a wonderful person Kwame is. He is our security guard. He takes care of us, keeps us safe, and most of all, he just cares about us as people.
I just want to recognize how grateful we are for Kwame. Every day he goes above and beyond to help our certification team, and we are so thankful for all that he does for us and our paratransit customers, and we couldn't appreciate him more.
Another example of Officer Jones's professionalism came when he responded to a paratransit customer who had multiple seizures. He immediately provided life-saving assistance, stayed by her side, secured her wheelchair, and offered reassurance until help arrived. Officer Jones's quick and decisive action and his dedication to making sure others are safe and cared for show the heart and professionalism he brings to every situation. Let's surprise him with the Crystal Bus Award.
Kwame, I want to present you with the Crystal Bus Award. On behalf of the RTC Board of Commissioners and our CEO, MJ Maynard, today you're being presented with the Crystal Bus Award based on all your outstanding service and dedication to the RTC and the job that you do out here every day. The empathy that you show with all the paratransit customers and the help that you provide to all the employees and everybody out here. Everybody really appreciates your hard work and dedication every day. So you got a great attitude and we really appreciate you.
This is one of the few times I'm actually speechless. But, I appreciate it. I just be myself every day and, make everybody feel welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me.
Is Kwame here?
Yes.
Can you please stand? There he is. A professional and dapper figure.
Okay, so again, this is a great part of the CEO report because we get to recognize another awesome individual. His name is Kazuya Moshida, and let's watch as Sabrina Glenn, our Senior Director of Transit Operations, surprises him with this award.
Thank you, MJ. Today I have the pleasure of recognizing an exceptional TransDev bus operator, Kazuya Moshida. His actions during a critical incident demonstrate his professionalism and ability to stay calm under pressure. When a passenger aboard his vehicle assaulted another rider, Kazuya responded immediately and decisively. His quick thinking allowed him to effectively communicate with the BOC, enabling security and emergency services to arrive swiftly on the scene. Thanks to his actions, the injured passenger was quickly transported for medical care. Mr. Moshida's ability to assess the situation, manage the response, and keep focused on the safety of everyone aboard was truly admirable. Let's honor Kazuya for his outstanding performance with the Crystal Bus Award. Mr. Moshida, hi, how are you? Good. I'm Sabrina Glenn. I'm the Senior Director of the RTC Transit Department. And on behalf of MJ Maynard and our board, I would like to acknowledge your efforts the other day and your life-saving activities for the incident that occurred on your bus. And for that, we want to acknowledge your efforts with our Crystal Bus. So congratulations.
I just did my regular job, but I'm glad that I saved someone's life. I just did my job that day. But thank you for RTC board for this award.
Kazuya?
Yes, Mr. Kazuya. Mr. Machida, are you here? Oh, he didn't make it. It's cool.
But if Kwame could come down and take a picture with all of you.
Most definitely.
Yeah, here we go. He is. Again, many thanks to both Kazuya and Kwame for just the outstanding efforts and what they do on behalf of the community.
All right. Thank you, MJ. Do we have any comments from the colleagues? Or you still have one more?
A little bit more here.
Oh, okay. So please forgive me.
Thanks. So we go ahead and as we do every month, we provide you a month-over-month analysis of our fixed route ridership. And so as you can see on the slide here, the residential routes continue to grow month-over-month, year-over-year. The on-demand service that we offer in the Southwest continues, again, to see an increase in ridership. And as we've been noting really since October 2015, ridership in the Resort Quarter continues to be a challenge. We've seen that a decline month-over-month. There was a 5.2% decline, but we are going to be implementing some, working with TransDev closely and the operators that provide the service on the Strip to look for improvements in terms of how the service is being managed. And it's kind of technical, but from a headway-based service to a paddle service, more of a time point kind of service. But we've gotten a lot of good feedback from the Deuce operators and look forward, again, to working with TransDev to I believe it, Angela's at February, we're going to do, February we'll be making some tweaks in the way that the service is offered. So, so you can see here, that's really just the, again, the Deuce Transit ridership dating back to January 23 through October 2024. And then 'Tis the Season to Ride. This Saturday, we're hosting our annual 'Tis the Season to Ride event in partnership with the Southern Nevada Bicycle Coalition, Escape Adventures, Club Ride, and RTC Bike Share. We invite the community to join the holiday spirit on a fun and festive bike ride, which is approximately 10 miles round trip from RTC's Westcliff Transit Center to NV Energy on Sahara Avenue. Riders are encouraged to bring an unwrapped toy, wear festive holiday attire, and decorate their bikes with holiday cheer. But if riding in two wheels isn't for you, you can still donate. All donations will be given to 98.5 KLUC's annual Chet Buchanan Show Toy Drive. So for more details and register to ride, you can visit RTCSNV/Toy Drive. David Swallow he's gonna be heading the ride, so it's only 10 miles, right, Dave? Easy 10 miles. And finally, we have a short video showcasing some highlights from the past year. I want to thank everyone who has had a part in making it a great year, including you, our board, certainly our Board of Commissioners, operators, mechanics, and all the contracted staff, our community stakeholders, our partners like the Public Works and Planning Departments of your respective jurisdictions, and of course, the amazing team at RTC. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me that I call my own.
This is a special day. We have people who are special, who are vulnerable, and this mobility training bus on the go is going to allow them to literally go.
Say it all sounds crazy.
Thank you, RTC. I use your services every day to the grocery store, school, work. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
I don't care, so call me crazy.
Transportation is so important because it's what connects our communities together. Whether you're working, living, or playing, the roadways and our infrastructure make it so that we as families, as communities, can stay together and come together.
RISE, Resource Involvement Support and Education, was developed to connect local, small, and diverse businesses to RTC-funded infrastructure projects.
We're
Today we unveiled the winners of the annual Save a Life Win a MacBook contest, which is a contest that's open to all school children in Clark County once a year.
There's a house we can build.
Infrastructure is incredibly important for our community. It's important for our economy to help move workers around, to help us move goods around. It's important just for the community too.
Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our mind.
On behalf of the Las Vegas Raiders, thank you to the Clark County Board of Commissioners, the Regional Transportation Commission Board, and the entire team at the RTC for your invaluable partnership and for funding the Game Day Express.
The world that we design.
Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head, a million dreams.
Now that I have access to transit passes, I not only have a way to make it to school, but I also have a way to find success and chase after my lifelong dreams.
Well, it's very exciting to be here in District 1 to celebrate the expansion of the rideshare program. This program brings access to transportation to this part of the district, and it's also good for the environment, and it shows how much people want to get out and ride, get around to work, to play, to school. I'm very excited. I'm glad it's here.
For the world we're gonna make.
Again, thanks to everybody. The commissioners, thank you so much for your leadership. And that concludes your CEO report. Vice Chair, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's to receive the Nevada Department of Transportation Director's Report from Director Tracy Larkin-Thomason.
Thank you, MJ. I have a very short report today, but we are going to begin work in January on the I-11 Flamingo mechanically stabilized earth retaining walls and sound walls. This is a $36 million project. It was awarded to Las Vegas Paving, and it should, like I said, will start in January. It should finish next fall. One of the main things to note on here is that because of the proximity of residences, a lot of this will be day work and it will unlikely to be night work, so there'll be some impacts during the day. On the next one, and this is timely, we are expanding our wrong-way driver systems. We do have 4 in the valley already, and we will be putting in 12 more, primarily between the downtown Las Vegas and the Summerlin area, but we are continuing to evaluate other areas. While not 100% effective, they are about 85% effective in mitigating the impacts of wrong-way driver systems. And then the last one, we want to publicly acknowledge that we are, or document, I guess I should say, that we are ending the Environmental Policy Act study between Rancho Drive and Mojave, commonly referred to as a downtown access project. It is being canceled due to the overall impacts to the adjacent communities and the lack of financial resources to support the anticipated cost of construction. While unusual to cancel a NEPA study, I just want to point out that this is the purpose of the study. It is to evaluate the impacts and determine the best path forward. Any future improvements along the I-11, US 95, US 93 between Rancho and Mojave will progress under separate environmental review process in accordance with all applicable laws and regulations. We do want to thank the community for their engagement through this process. We did have a very big outreach thing and actually won an award for the recognized as the best public involvement approach in the nation in 2023 by AASHTO, which is the American Association of State Transportation Officials. So again, we want to thank everybody, and really, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Director. Before we move on, are there any questions from the colleagues, either on for the CEO's report or for the NDOT Director's report? Well, I will say this regarding the downtown project. I do really think NDOT, the way they reached out, beyond just the immediate Las Vegas downtown, we really are a connected community. and traffic flows go beyond just from the north of Vegas. It also involves us, because one way or another, our residents, they travel from one community to another, and so I really appreciate how you reached out to members of my community as well. Thank you so very much. And if there's nothing else, let's go ahead and go on to the next item.
Thanks, Chairman, or Vice Chair, excuse me. The next item is to approve your consent agenda, which consists of items 5 through 31 and can be taken in one motion.
Okay, are there any comments or questions from the board? I got a movement and a second. Let's take a vote. Aye. Motion passes.
All right, the next item on the agenda is to receive a presentation on the Southern Nevada Strong underutilized lands inventory results in short-term applications to facilitate infill development. And I'm happy to say that our Manager of Planning, Deb Reardon, will provide that presentation.
Thanks so much, MJ. Good morning. The Southern Nevada Strong team led a regional inventory of vacant and underutilized lands to identify potential locations for jobs and housing in existing neighborhoods. And today I'm joined by the project manager of that study, Miguel Davila Uzcategui, Senior Regional Planner, and we are excited to share the findings of that study as well as our next steps. So the RTC's role in regional planning actually began back in 1981 when we were designated as the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Southern Nevada. Excuse me. Following the City of Henderson's leadership in developing the Southern Nevada Strong Regional Plan, in 2015 we assumed the role of administrator of that plan. And in 2021, the Infrastructure and Jobs Act gave the MPO more tools as well as funding to facilitate regional planning. Since 2023, our small staff team has reached over 13,000 community members and stakeholders to develop the scope for the new Southern Nevada Strong 2050 plan in response to the many new challenges that we're facing. Southern Nevada Strong identifies a goal to create complete communities with an emphasis in reinvesting in existing neighborhoods. And we know that it can actually be a lot more difficult and expensive to do this. There are also many benefits. For example, from a transportation perspective, it is more cost effective to use existing bus routes and roads versus extending further out, as well as living close to work reduces commute-related household transportation costs. So the plan includes many actions to facilitate investment in existing neighborhoods. One of those key actions was to develop an inventory of commercial and industrial properties. This was an action taken on by the Southern Nevada Strong team. So before we got started, we looked at existing inventories. We know that the Governor's Office of Economic Development, or GOED, publishes an inventory of commercial and industrial land for employment. This report identifies a shortage of land, about 8,000 acres, to meet our long-term needs for our workforce. However, land in this inventory needs to actually meet certain requirements. It needs to be pretty large, 20 acres. For perspective, that's about the size of 15 football fields. It needs to be near highways, as well as pretty flat. So for a complete picture, we identified a need to really look at where are those additional opportunities for infill development, for jobs and housing in existing neighborhoods. So this brought us to the underutilized land inventory. So here's an example of what I mean by that. The graphic you see shows how underutilized land, like large parking lots, can potentially accommodate more development. So we brought in experts in this area, folks from Eco Northwest that have done similar inventories from across the country to help us. We also needed help from our regional partners. So we scoped the project with a small group of developers brought together by colleagues from NAOP as well as LVGEA, and over 60 experts and stakeholders from the organizations that you see on this slide participated through a series of task group meetings. They included the Southern Nevada Home Builders Association, the Greater Las Vegas Realtors Association, UNLV, and many more. We know that there's a need to customize findings based on local needs, and so we also facilitated one-on-one meetings with economic development, redevelopment, and planning staff from all of your organizations to really customize the findings further. So here is the resulting map of vacant and underutilized land. This includes the Las Vegas Valley, Boulder City, as well as Mesquite. Vacant parcels were already identified for us within the assessor's data, and we leaned on that same data set to help us define underutilized land using really two key criteria. So first, we looked to see if the structure on that land used only a minor portion of the site, and secondly, if that improvement on that site was worth less than the land itself. So if that site met those two criteria, it was considered in the inventory as underutilized. In total, we found 82,587 acres of vacant and underutilized land in Southern Nevada. To put this in perspective, that's about the size of the city of Henderson. And these figures are likely an undercount since it doesn't include vacant buildings as well as some publicly owned properties. So we took this a step further and looked at ranking these parcels by the level of underutilization based on stakeholder priorities. Sites ranked higher if they were in a neighborhood where lots of people live, where social services and transit were more accessible, or if the sites were in an existing redevelopment area. So the result is that we have a concentration of these medium to highly ranked underutilized parcels in the central parts of the valley. Zooming in just a bit further, this map shows that we have many highly ranked parcels in North Las Vegas, the historic West Side, downtown Las Vegas, as well as downtown Henderson. So much of the underutilized land is also along many of the key corridors that RTC Transit and MPO Planning are working to improve, like Maryland Parkway, Boulder Highway, and Charleston. So I'm happy to share that the inventory is already being used. The SNES team recently partnered with the Clark County Redevelopment Agency and the Nevada Housing Coalition on a $1.2 million EPA grant to support redevelopment on key sites identified in the inventory, including the historic commercial center that's located on Sahara. NAIOP stakeholders are using the inventory in support of congressional legislation related to adaptive reuse. And jurisdictional partners, are using the inventory to cite affordable housing and to support state legislation related to transit-oriented development. So the inventory is also being used for regional planning. In economic development planning, we'll be using this analysis to really work on matching sites to target industries, and we'll also be using the inventory as a foundation for the Southern Nevada Strong 2050 plan. Over the next year and a half, we will all be working together to explore how vacant and underutilized lands in the inventory could potentially accommodate our anticipated population growth, the 1 million additional people that we expect to see in our valley from now till 2050. We will also compare the trade-offs of different ways we can grow, whether that's outward, within existing neighborhoods, or some combination. Technical work is underway, and we'll be convening regional leaders, including the RTC board, in a kickoff event early next year. So thank you so much for having us here today to share our findings. For community members that are in the audience that may want to get involved, there's a QR code. You can sign up and be receiving updates. And this item is provided for information and discussion. So we are interested to hear your thoughts on the inventory and answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Manager Reardon. Yes, my colleague, Councilman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Brown. Thank you very much for the presentation. You know, this is an area that I'm super interested in because the area that I represent is all going to be infill development. I don't have any sprawling parcels of land. What would be helpful for me is if you were to break this down, if you can, by jurisdiction. It's even more helpful if you're able to break it down by ward within the jurisdiction. The next steps for me could be to work with our planning department on preemptively rezoning, because that creates a greater opportunity for developers to think about it differently. And so if we're able to take those extra couple of steps, I think it'll propel this work much faster, and also kind of help us figure out what you think is best for the region. My example would be the dental school parking lot. It's a great parking lot, but it really could be something much more significant, and be able to convey that to the university partners and the county. My county representative's not here, but it's I think incumbent upon an elected official to rezone it, to let people know what the vision for that area would look like, and this data would help us to do that. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Yeah, happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman?
Thank you for the presentation. As I looked at this, we see all the underutilized land that is out there, and in conjunction with my colleague here, one of the things that would also be really helpful is suggestions to the municipalities on how to rewrite codes to accommodate that development. For example, everybody has vacant Kmarts, and that's way underutilized, and yet it's zoned commercial, currently can't be used for anything but commercial. And we need some help in the ability to transition those codes and some assistance in rewriting that to accommodate that development.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor?
Thank you. I would also like, if it's possible, to identify which is public land, which is private land, and which land, for instance, is protected for wildlife preservation, for instance, if we can somehow differentiate those kinds of things. Thank you.
Yeah, we're actually in the process of starting an interactive map that will have some of the capabilities that you're describing today.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm very interested. The other question that I had, and I think the city is doing this, although we might be a little bit behind on it, is looking at all the government-owned land and specifically pulling that out, but also looking at land that would be included in this that may have back property taxes, and then working with the assessor on our government's ability to maybe take control of that land and do something more efficient with it. So all of those are parts of this that would make this report useful for us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Please, Councilman.
As long as everybody's asking you to do something, I guess I can too. So I'm familiar with Mesquite and the parcels you showed out there. A lot of them would be extremely expensive to build on because they're not flat and there are no utilities in the area. It would be nice to also know these parcels, which ones have utilities available, which ones are flat, and which ones would cost millions of dollars to develop. If you're looking at desert property and 20 acres, just to take that down is millions of dollars on its own. So anything that can point us in the right direction would be extremely helpful. So hopefully you can do that too.
We'll try. There is precedent for other MPOs doing some of that work, really organizing the overall infrastructure needs and looking beyond transportation. So that's something we're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess I have a couple of questions for me. Ms. Manager, can we expect for the different municipalities to actually have a presentation to our boards and or our economic development departments?
Yeah, we would be happy to do that. We could also provide the agency-specific data at that time.
Okay, fantastic. That would be really helpful. In North Las Vegas, one issue that we have, like in Ward 1, over the past decade, because the need for housing, the flavor of development has changed decidedly towards building homes. Now, the issue with that is, of course, when these in Ward 1, for instance, in North Las Vegas, when our planners were envisioning this more than a decade, sometimes 2 decades ago, they set aside lots of commercial properties that developers have since asked for they've gotten rezoning done, which I'm all for, more habitation for our residents and to bring more residents in. But the problem that we've had now is that we've converted so much commercial, and of course we have a new reality since the rise of the e-commerce market. We get developers that, oh, well, we can't build any more strip malls because we can't fill them. You have undeveloped strip malls. We've converted over so much land to habitations that now we're in a kind of a quandary because we actually have some parts of North Las Vegas that are pretty close to being food deserts. And of course, I don't have to. There's parts of the East Valley, the Northeast Valley that most definitely are food deserts. So although I really appreciate seeing in North Las Vegas, we still do have some wide swaths of land that are quote underutilized, and there's lots of available land closer to routes of travel, RTC, and they're kind of close to flood control existing facilities. I would like to make sure that these are also taken into account, that there is a need for development, and not all the developers are, some people who like to build houses and they'd like to build homes, they're not so, and there's some people, there are some developers who like to build only commercial, but getting them together isn't such an easy place. We talk a lot about mixed use, but we haven't seen it so far in North Vegas. I've seen a little bit in Henderson, some in Las Vegas, but yeah, I am totally on board with the idea that moving forward, we just cannot continue. It's unsustainable for our community to sprawl further and further towards the airport in the south and beyond the mountains in the north. I remember when there was a time you had to drive for a while before you got to the road, Cattle Canyon Road, to get you up to Mount Charleston, and now it's houses all the way up there. So I do agree, and that as we sprawl more further and further, that brings a bigger and bigger pressure on, of course, on this agency to provide transportation. It stretches, the resources for other agencies as well. So I do think that there's a fantastic opportunity here, but the time is now, because once we build facilities, once we build developments right, it's really hard to take them down. I very much am looking forward to your presentation in North Vegas. And of course, just down south of the border from us, we have our good friends in Las Vegas, who I'm sure they would very much appreciate this presentation as well. Are there any more questions? All right.
Okay, great.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. All right, Commissioners, Commissioners, the next item is to receive a report and ratify emergency contract for ADA paratransit and senior transportation services between the RTC and TransDev. Our in-house legal counsel, David Clyde, will now present.
Thank you, MJ. On October 31st, 2024, the RTC paratransit operator, MV, and their legal team notified the RTC via letter that the RTC had failed to provide the 120-day written notice to exercise a 6-month option to extend contract number 19-019 for ADA paratransit services to June of 2025. In response to MV's notification, RTC immediately investigated MV's claims and determined that despite MV and RTC being in communication with one another and both parties actively working under the understanding that the current paratransit contract would be extended to June 2025, RTC had not provided MV with express written notice, as MV claimed. RTC then immediately began negotiations with MV to try and secure a 6-month extension. On November 22nd of this year, MV notified the RTC that it would not accept a 6-month extension and would cease providing paratransit service effective December 29th, 2024, unless the RTC agreed to several of MV's conditions. These conditions were further clarified in a meeting on November 26th to include waiving all audit rights required in Amendment 6 of the contract, waiving all rights to assess MV liquidated damages in the paratransit contract, payment of all outstanding invoices submitted by MV associated with the paratransit contract, and waiving all rights as a part of the contract transition to inspect vehicles that were, per the contract definition, beyond their useful life. The RTC did not agree to such conditions because they would have created a significant financial risk for the agency and could have negatively impacted service to customers. RTC continued negotiations with MV in good faith. However, as the last counteroffer from MV was only willing to agree to a 30-day extension to continue negotiations for a 6-month extension if the RTC agreed to reimburse MV for any WARN Act employee termination costs. RTC consulted with WARN Act experts and determined that agreeing to those terms would not be in the RTC's or in the public's best interest because it required the RTC to take on significant additional risk. At that point, with negotiations not progressing and the RTC needing to secure and transition a new paratransit provider in less than a month, the RTC concluded negotiations and began planning to transition paratransit services per emergency contract according to NRS 332.112. That statute states that emergency is one which may lead to an impairment of the health, safety, or welfare of the public if not immediately attended to. If the chief administrative officer of the local government agency determines that an emergency exists affecting the public health, safety, or welfare, a contract necessary to contend with the emergency may be let out without complying with NRS 332. On December 4th, 2024, RTC Chief Executive Officer MJ Maynard determined that a potential lapse in federally mandated paratransit service can constitute an emergency that affects the public's health, safety, and welfare. To address the emergency and avoid a paratransit service interruption, the RTC entered into a short-term sole source emergency contract with RTC's fixed route service provider, Transdev Services, effective with service starting December 30th, 2024. The term of this contract with Transdev, with service starting December 30th through April 9th, 2025, will help ensure that there is not an interruption in paratransit services while RTC finalizes the competitive procurement process for, under RFP 25-011. Now, just to provide a brief update on that, it is important to clarify that the emergency procurement is separate from the current RFP for paratransit services that is being evaluated and will be awarded at the January board meeting. The two-step competitive procurement for RFP 25-011 was publicly issued on August 22nd of this year. Step 1 included a review of the technical proposals for the following: management structure and key personnel, past experience, corporate support, transition planning, operational innovation, operations management, field service supervision, employee training, and vehicle and safety programs. Step 1 closed on September 26th of this year, and all 4 received proposals were evaluated and deemed acceptable to progress to Step 2. Step 2 was evaluated based on submitting price proposals, interview and tabletop exercise performance, and Step 1 scoring rollover. Step 2 opened on November 14th and closed on December 5th. Only 3 invited proponents submitted on December 5th. Interviews for all 3 companies took place on December 9th and 10th of 2024. An external price reasonable analysis is expected to be completed on December 16th. RTC expects to enter negotiations with the highest ranked proponent on December 17th. RTC anticipates a board award date at our January board meeting on the 9th of January 2025. RFP 25-011 is governed by the instructions published on August 22nd, and the contract will be awarded with the guidelines set forth in the RFP instructions. That concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
Thank you, Councillor Clyde. At this point, I'd like to ask the colleagues if they have any questions or comments. Yes, Councilman.
Thank you, Vice Chair Brown.
Oh, actually, you're still Mayor Pro Tem, aren't you?
I'm a whole bunch of different things.
Well, right now, I stand corrected.
Brian.
Mayor
You can
Pro
call me
Tem.
whatever you want to call me.
No, hey, I'm not going to call you homie, you know.
You can if you want. I'll respond. Mr. Clyde, thanks for the presentation. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, and I know you referenced this, but I think it's important to say it again. So we have 2 separate things that we're talking about. One is an emergency procurement. How does that relate to the ongoing procurement process?
There were a couple of changes that were made. So all Step 2 proponents were informed of the following adjustments to the solicitation through the addendum process. Number 1, interviews were adjusted from the tentative dates of December 17th and 18th to December 9th and 10th. All parties were given the required 1-week notice as described in the RFP instructions. Number 2, the best and final offer exercise was removed as a described activity in the solicitation, and all proponents were advised to submit their best pricing at the close of the Step 2 process. However, negotiations with the highest ranked proponent remain allowable. And finally, pricing forms and sample contracts were revised to not reference a specific performance period, and all proponents were advised that services may have a performance period start date as early as April 10th of next year. The emergency procurement includes, just as a separate side note, the emergency procurement also includes a month-to-month option for up to 120 days should negotiations with the highest ranked proponent take longer and we're not able to bring it to the January board.
Thank you, that answers the question. The second question I have is, I think it's in January, you're going to come forward with a recommendation for the final contract for a paratransit provider. If someone has an issue with the process, what does that protest period look like? I only speak from experience at the city because we occasionally have challenges to our procurement process and we have to do everything by the books. I just want to kind of put it out there that what is the process for the RTC?
Yeah, thank you, Councilman Knudsen. The protest procedures governing the procurement are outlined in the instructions. And note that protests must be submitted in writing within 3 business days, excluding a Friday, after the date the recommendation to award a contract is posted. The RTC intends to post the recommendation on December 27th of this year. This will require all protests to be received by January 2nd of 2025. The protest must outline what provision of NRS 332 the proponent believes was violated, and a security bond of $250,000 must be provided along with the written notice.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
This is my last meeting, so I can speak freely. To the gentleman from MV who came down here and read his statement, I don't know what they're paying you, but it's not enough. The fact that the director of MV wouldn't show up and plead his cause and he sends you is really an indication of how poorly they have serviced us. In my experience in dealing with publicly traded companies, even though you're not one, and major corporations, I've never ever seen action like this to make the demands that you guys made. It's just unforgivable. And to treat the unions the way that you have treated them is also unforgivable. So it's just, it speaks volumes about your business and going forward. So it puts us at the RTC in a very untenable position. One, it costs us money to do an emergency transition. My recommendation, although I'm leaving, would be that this board consider going after MV for all those costs and what it takes to do this, because it's just not right. You guys have not been good partners, and that's just putting it quite frankly. Kudos to our staff for jumping in, and kudos frankly to TransDev for trying to help. To do a transition in a couple of weeks of this size and this nature is almost impossible. But thank you for all your hard work in making this happen. Also, MJ and I have had discussions about documenting all of this because we're going to end up in litigation at some point in time, and I want to make sure we've covered all those bases. It's really unfortunate, not only from a business point of view, but from a customer point of view. We have a requirement to service those who need paratransit. We have an obligation. We want to help them. And to throw these kinds of roadblocks in the way to help the customers is immoral. It's just not right. So I hope that we move forward quickly. I hope that there is a great working relationship between the unions and TransDev to try to make this happen and make it right. We appreciate deeply the union's ability to accommodate this. It's a difficult situation, and in my opinion, I think they've stepped up and helped. So it's to the point that changes have got to be made, and frankly, I'm sure MV understands that they're not going to list us as a reference on future contract negotiations because it will be really ugly if you do. So I commend you for showing up from MV because there's a high probability you'll probably lose your job. And I would have told the director to go pound sand if he sent me down here. So anyway, my point of view, I appreciate you listening, and I hope that we can solve this and move forward, not just on an emergency basis, but on a permanent basis, because we have an obligation to our customers to provide that kind of service. So thank you.
Thank you. And that's the way an accountant throws shade. Councilman, and then the mayor.
I talked with MJ about this. There's the one thing I don't like in life is a bully. And anyone that would hold a group hostage and ask for more than you were due when you already owe fixed route drivers something is beyond me that you would even consider doing this. And I hope where, Mr. Clyde, you said that just because it's the highest or the best offer doesn't mean you have to take them. I hope that it's always remembered at the RTC what we're going through right now, and in the future, there's a way to limit access to them even bidding on anything in this state. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think the message that we need to make sure we are very clear with is there is still a ride. And that ride, we're talking about people who need a ride. And so the message that comes out of this meeting, there is a ride. There will be a ride. And the advantage that we have is we have dedicated people who have, in a heartbeat, literally, switched and been able to say, we will provide a ride. These people need to hear that message, that there is a ride, there will be a ride. There was an emergency situation that was met. So staff, the unions, company made a difference. They did it, and we're looking forward. And I suspect as we look forward, there will be some taking into effect the kudos of having been participated in this process by the unions, by TransDef, et cetera, that says there will be a ride. And do not worry, we have dedicated people who come to this meeting, and they will still be there, and they will be taking care of you who have special needs. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. MJ, I do have a question. Our partners, TransDev, of course, they're in the House. I guess one question I'm going to ask, I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is. Do they have the bandwidth? Do they have the capacity to take over with minimal interruption for our paratransit customers?
You know, that's a great question, and thank you for asking. And thank you for all the comments, because at the end of the day, it is about our customer. TransDev, again, this is highly unusual. They've got to mobilize so quickly. They are bringing in staff from all over the United States to get this done. RTC staff is working around the clock to get this done because we are here to serve the public. We made a promise that we will ensure that they need to get they can get where they need to go, particularly our paratransit customers. And so, Mayor, thank you for that and for your comments as well. So the answer is yes, we are committed to ensuring that this is as seamless as possible so that our customers are taken care of.
Fantastic. And of course, I'm wondering, do we have a timeline for our staff to audit where we're at now that MV is dropping us like we're hot? So do we have a timeline to we can audit to make sure that the public trust is guarded? And if there are any outstanding claims or any outstanding issues, damages, that we're able to move swiftly to ensure the public is properly protected.
Yeah, Councilman, those audits are ongoing.
Fantastic. One last thing. Whatever legal can do also. In the past, we've seen, I've seen not so great partners in the city of North Vegas who all they do is they change names. They do business as other entities. And to the extent that possible, I would like to very much see that the public is also protected, considering what I've heard here from the colleagues, the bad taste that's left in the mouth, right? On behalf of our public, I would very much like to see anything that we could do to, quite frankly, protect this agency in the future from any business dealings with entities that all I do is, they slap a fresh coat of paint and change their names.
Thank you for that, Vice Chair. We'll continue to do what we can within our boundaries to make sure that what you're saying occurs. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate everyone's comments. To clarify, we're only voting to accept your report and to ratify the emergency contract at this point, right?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. I think we've already taken public comment at this point. I see someone who looks like they want to make a public comment, but I think that has already passed, correct?
That's correct. Public comment will be reserved for after the regular agenda.
Thank you, Councillor. Well, at this point, can I get, if there's nothing else from the colleagues, can I please get a motion on the floor to accept the report and ratify the emergency contract? Got a second? Votes? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Vice Chair. The next item, agenda item number 34, is to receive information from our legal counsel. There are no items to discuss, so you can move on to your final agenda item, which is to conduct your final citizens participation period.
Thank you very much. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to the board, now is your opportunity. Please come forward to the microphone to provide your comments and state your name for the record. You will be limited to 3 minutes for your comments. Is there anyone who would like to provide comments? I'm going to begin here with Ms. Dorothy Barnes. Is that okay if I have the person who submitted? Everyone else can just go ahead and, yeah. Oh, okay, she's way back there. Thank you very much. Ms. Barnes?
Good afternoon, Dorothy Barnes. I've been in this city over 20 years. I've seen this bus company grow. I've seen the good and bad from CAT, Citizens Area Transit, to RTC. And I'm complaining about the line that's going on. I get lied on buses. They got a drug racket going at my expense. They got drivers and people, security people on fentanyl, theming off me, lying, putting people on the buses. I experienced it before I came here. I was on the BHXA, headed out to Henderson, and I was lied on. Now, I don't know if it's to pay their salary, the reason some of these people are putting customers and things up, but it's not nice. I'm an old lady. I'm sickly. I got a broken bone in my leg. I can't even get my motorized chair. The lies that's told, the disability people say, well, you don't have a permanent address. Yeah, I'm homeless. All the lies that's told to housing. I can't get affordable housing. I don't get enough money and then this company owes me money. I can't get that money because they're trying to keep a secret. I'm not good at keeping secrets. Since I was a child, I told everything in school. I'm telling everything now. I'm tired of being in pain, pushing this. The VA did give me this chair, but I have to have a motorized chair. I got a broken bone that didn't heal. I slipped at the bus stop at North Las Vegas at Lake Mead and Las Vegas Boulevard some years ago and broke this bone. And they x-rayed my knee. I'm an old lady. I'm in my 60s. It may never heal. It hurts me to walk a far distance pushing this chair, and I push my homeless belongings. That's all I got. It hurts me to be suffering like this at my age. I don't enjoy life. Every day I'm in pain. Just last night, a driver put me off to 109. She said, if you can walk on my bus and push your chair, you can't sit in it. You have to sit in a seat. You just scrap it and sit in a seat. What sense does that make? I ride the bus every day. I put my belongings under my seat, not blocking the aisle. She said, no, you can't sit in your seat. You walked on my bus with your chair, and you cannot sit in your chair. It's crazy what I go through with. Why? I sit in my chair every day. That's the purpose of the doctor letting me have it. I can't keep putting pressure on this bone that's broken, that's not healing. I'm in my 60s. It may never heal. And then I have to put up with lies that mess up all my medical. The doctors know what I'm going through with. They suffering too. They can't get my name because people are fuming off me for fentanyl. And I was hired some years ago before I came to Las Vegas as a narcotics agent for the CIA on an international basis to bust up a drug operation. Here I got all these people, including people in my family, fuming for fentanyl. My 2 ex-husbands, veterans. I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army. They're all fuming off me. I go to the VA. They're fuming off me for this drug. And bus drivers on drugs, the security people on drugs. It's insane.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. Do something
Thank you for your
about
service,
it.
and
Thank you
your
very
time
much.
is up.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next up, please. I don't think he has to write another, he's already written one letter. I don't think he has to write another card, does he? No, please.
Thank you. Dennis Hennessy, just a coach operator. Thank you all for, at least it indicates that you've been listening, for your comments about how we strongly feel about the contractor MV and the way they did us drivers and now the county and the paratransit community. Y'all know that my passion for probably the last 10 years has been on safety and security in our fixed route system. I can tell you that in the last year, since Tom Atterbury has come on board, that the stance and the attitude towards the RTC has vastly improved. We're seeing some huge, huge differences. What I want to talk to you about today is, in order for Tom to completely fix what he's doing, he needs to have complete cooperation with whoever the contractor for fixed route is. 3 months ago, MJ, you stood up as Sabrina and her counterpart with paratransit gave a summary of the fixed route and paratransit system. You interrupted her and talked about the new radio room, the $1 million radio room that was constructed down at the South Strip. At the Sunset Maintenance Yard. Talked glowingly about what it's doing and what it's not. Well, I'm here to tell you, Tom can't finish what he's doing unless that $1 million facility does more than $10 worth of work. Because getting a hold of someone in that radio room has been pretty impossible. In the last 5 days, I had over 60. I had 8 drivers across the city, different routes, doing a test to see how long it took our radio room to respond to a simple text request. Pull-out assistance needed. What I was trained to do, if it's not an emergency, that's what you hit. If I need a security guard on the route I'm at, which is Pecos 2 days a week, that's the route I go because I don't run into the guards. So here are the results of the 60 calls that were made. 8.3% were answered in 1 to 5 minutes. 8%. 25% were answered in 5 to 10 minutes. 21% answered in 10 to 15 minutes. 15 plus were 19 of those 60 calls. That's 31% beyond 15 minutes. How is security going to get to us for any reason, no matter how major or minor it is, when 31% of the calls are 15 minutes longer? Here's the other staggering: 35 minutes plus, 6 calls. That's 10%. One more number. I'm still waiting on 2 phone calls. Now, I've preached time and time again about inspecting what you expect. Evidently, the RTC staff or the TransDev management team can't inspect the things. Again, I'm just a bus driver. But if you'd like to hire me to inspect what you expect, I'd be happy to do that, but I'm not cheap.
Thank you very much.
Morning. William Lynn, ATU Local 1637. I will not jade the situation by trying to disrespect the operators are here. They're saying the transition was not smooth at all when TransDev came in. I will say thank you to MV. Goodbye. I will say that I hope that TransDev has better luck with paratransit starting over than they did with us. And I gotta commend the fact that they stepped up quickly to put their head in the guillotine while they still have a bid in for that prop. They're gonna, so we will see how that goes. Hopefully it will be good. Today I'm here more to talk about the fuelers and the cleaners in Silver State, who, for lack of a better word, just don't. They may step over their brothers and spit in their face and not care, but I will commend The drivers are here today to show that they stand with them. Because the one thing they wouldn't settle for last night was that they would go against the operators, the mechanics, or anybody else for Silver State or anything else. With that being said, I'd like to let them know that the operators are here to say the same. The mechanics are here to say the same. We will not allow them to be trampled as the lowest enslaved part of this city by Silver State. We're just looking for parity, right? Paratransit, what they get paid, what they get for time off with their family, what they get for the basic health needs. The airport service that TransDev runs. They run their fuelers. They run their cleaners. At the end of the day, I will make it very clear to Silver State that if they want a problem with us, they're going to have one. And they're going to have one with all of AT. And it's just that simple.
Thank you.
Good morning. Excuse me. Good morning, board members, MJ and staff. You're right, I got a little froggy when I wanted to come speak. I apologize.
Your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Katrina Heineking. I'm a senior VP for TransDev that will be helping to lead the transition for the emergency procurement. I did want to say that, yes, we do have the bandwidth, which MJ reassured you. I think right now we have over 70 people on the ground from the United States just in the last few days. We've onboarded and welcomed nearly 600 people so far to try to get the transition underway. I just wanted to say thank you. Honestly, it's a pleasure to be working in the community again. I was on this contract a few years ago. We appreciate the opportunity, the guidance, the support, and honestly, the trust. We couldn't have done it without the RTC support and the staff that has helped us so far to orchestrate the transition. To be very clear, we understand and trust the process. Otherwise, this is a 101-day transition. We understand that, and either way, we're committed and through that 101 days. And I don't think we'll ever lose sight of exactly why we're here, and that's for the employees and, of course, the passengers that you all serve. We're standing in very close contact with the Teamsters. I think we have a very cooperative relationship so far, and we're here to serve you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can just, thank you so very much.
Hi there, my name is Jackie Spicer, last name S-P-I-C-E-R. I'm the coordinator for the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition. We're a statewide coalition of community organizations that are fighting to build people power through grassroots organizing and policy advocacy statewide. Together, we aim to liberate frontline communities from environmental hardships. And today, on behalf of the NEJC, we appreciate the opportunity to address the RTC Board of Commissioners and provide our support for the Southern Nevada Strong Underutilized Lands Inventory. At a time when climate scientists tell us that we have less than a decade to take action to avoid the worst impacts of climate change, the results of this study paint an ideal path forward for regional growth in Southern Nevada. Frontline communities in Clark County are already bearing the burdens of environmental hardship worsened by climate change. Both the natural environment and the well-being of our communities depend on a future that is centered on strategic and sustainable growth. Our coalition envisions a future that is brighter for Clark County and will include complete infill of the Snippelma boundary with incentivized upward growth, adaptive reuse, numerous municipal parks and open spaces, and mixed income communities. We dream of a future with vibrant, diverse, mixed income, dense communities that are centered on transit hubs with walkable commercial districts and a focus on local businesses. We dream of a reliable, widespread, affordable, or even no-cost electrified public transportation system linking all sectors of the city and making it possible to live comfortably without a car. We want to see reduced emissions from fewer vehicle miles traveled, meaning that Clark County can reach the attainment level of EPA air quality standards that it currently does not meet. And lastly, we want to see 100% clean and renewable energy, with residential energy primarily generated from rooftop and community solar. Above all else, we believe it is still possible for us to grow in a way that is sustainable, just, and equitable for all Nevadans, and that we can thrive at a time when we need to protect nature and the ecosystems that sustain us. This inventory allows us to envision a future for Clark County that is equitable, zero emissions, and climate resilient. We are grateful for the board's positive reception of the study results today and the incredible work by the Southern Nevada Strong team to make this happen and to improve the quality of life for our friends, families, neighbors, and the future generations who will call Nevada home. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Good morning. My name is Jolena Walker, and I am the State Policy Director for Make It Work Nevada. Make It Work Nevada is a reproductive justice organization and part of the Nevada Environmental Justice Coalition. We appreciate the opportunity to provide support in response to the Southern Nevada Strong underutilized land inventory presentation. Black and brown communities are on the front lines of Clark County's climate crisis. Our valley is a large, very dense Sunbelt city, experiencing major population growth. The climate crisis is already here in our communities. In 2024 alone, extreme heat and poor air quality claimed the lives of 491 citizens. We are among the hottest and driest cities in the nation, and we have earned a D in the March of Dimes preterm birth report card. The March of Dimes website states that exposure to extreme heat and air pollution can increase the risk from poor maternal and infant health outcomes. For Black families, this is a 3 times greater risk. I want to impress upon you that climate justice is reproductive justice, particularly affecting Black communities who are experiencing historical disinvestment and neglect from city and state governments. Infill initiatives that center the lives and lived experiences of our neglected communities can address systemic inequities and liberate frontline communities from environmental hardships brought on by sprawl and historic and ongoing disinvestment. We urge the Commission to develop strong strategies like the underutilized land inventory suggestions so that we can stem the tide and change the impact for communities. We believe and urge that our at-risk, our at-risk and underserved communities can be uplifted by good public works investments like this. By incentivizing infill, upward growth, and adaptive reuse, and mixed income, walkable communities in existing neighborhoods, you can bring opportunity back to the urban core, providing residents of Clark County with equitable access to housing, employment, and social supports, such as access to medical care. I appreciate your time, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you so very much.
Hello, Ashley Cole, TransDev Area General Manager. Thank you, Board, MJ, and RTC leadership team. I just wanted to respond to some of the concerns that were brought forth about the fixed route service and BLC. One, we are working tirelessly to fix the challenges that we had. I've been here about 90 days now, and I think we've made some great strides. I am not hiding from, and neither is TransDev hiding from the fact that we have more work to do. So I want to just encourage not only our operators, but ATU and Teamsters to continue partnering with us, bringing their concerns to the forefront. I haven't hid from them. I haven't hid from any concerns, and neither has TransDev, and we will continue to move forward and get the goals that we have on the table addressed. And then last thing I wanted to make very clear is that our RTC team inspects, drills down, inspects, re-inspects, and looks at it again. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so very much.
I'm Derek Bruin. I'm the Senior Vice President for TransDev on the fixed route side. Katrina's handling the paratransit, so I only get half the pie now, which is just fine by me. I've been monitoring the relationship between Silver State and ATU. I commend both of the parties. Last night, they were negotiating till 9 o'clock last night at least. And I know they had more than 10 different items open when they started the day. And to my understanding, speaking to both parties, they're down to 2 items. Obviously, one of them is wages, which is a big one. But we'll continue to monitor it. I think they're going back to the table today. And I have recommended to both that if, maybe bring in a federal mediator if they get into January for next steps. Hopefully they solve things today, but we'll keep after it and we'll keep working with them to push things along. It's tough for me because I'm so used to being at the table and I can't specifically in this situation, but we'll keep after it. Thanks.
Thank you so very much. Although I think you need no introduction, just your name for the record.
Thanks again, Vice Chair Isaac Barone. Alita Dupree for the record, she and her with Team Folds, as I speak generally. Good meeting today, got a lot done today. Thank you. It's not easy sometimes. Sometimes I feel like a one-person show, if you will. And perhaps one of a very, very rare few who comes before you to speak about advocating for better buses. I wish I could bring busloads of people, pun intended, to come and speak about advocating for better buses. And I think we do have good buses here, and I use them when I can. I think we have better buses than a lot of agencies do. We keep them very clean, and I use the transit app, and it asks me questions about the buses and about the routes, and I put those in when I can. And I don't know how the process works, though. One time I did meet the CEO of Transit App and learned something about Transit App. That was a couple of years ago. And hopefully we can get back to pre-pandemic ridership soon. I think it may have been as early as 2007 that I went to my first meeting with you all. I'm not sure, at least 2009. It was during the time of Larry Brown was your chair, and Larry Brown was chair of this board for a long time. And we have bus app. Well, we've had the bus app for almost a decade now, and I've been using that. And I hope we can get we have the fare cards. Hopefully we can get people on those fare cards and the open payment. I try to make it easy for myself to use the bus, which is why I have the bus app, and I did tap my card on the reader once to try that, $2 for that. And I choose to do things that make things easier for myself, such as using the bus app and the transit app and planning my trips so I can take the bus here in our community. And I think we should start working on renewable diesel fuel. We still have diesel in the fleet, and it's different from biodiesel. And there are some railroads, such as Capital Corridor and Metrolink, that are using renewable diesel fuel because we still have some diesel buses out there. And I think we really have to move away from the straight petroleum diesel that we're ordinarily buying. We should have a showcase product on the Strip. And hopefully we can get hydrogen buses for the Strip. So people can see that. I hope we have a lot of hydrogen buses in the fleet. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay, well, seeing no one else, I will close this portion of the public comment, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.